Jackson Radio Show.
Hey everybody, Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So the fallout from this Harvey Weinstein thing is continuing to grow. And every time I think that we're ready to let it go, more comes out. The New Yorker article, etc. We'll be talking about that a bit. But I also want to cover this Terry Crews sexual assault encounter. And if you don't know who Terry Crews is, he's a big black dude. You've seen him in movies. And I think he flexes his chest, like The Rock. He does that, that peck bounce. And you'll know him, I promise you. Crews, not like Crusoe or cruise like cruising down the road, but cruise like a rowing crew. Terry Crews. Low budget films, occasionally TV shows. He's made a couple of films that, where he, like for example, he was in this film with Kevin Costner where his son gets picked up by a football team, things like that. But it's usually bit roles. But he was in a movie with Adam Sandler where he plays the island dude or whatever. Clever guy, funny guy. I like him, but he generally plays a bad butt. So to hear of an allegation of sexual assault, it challenges your perception of him. And I wanted to know what it was about. And so I went to the article and I read his Twitter feed. And let me just show you what it said. He says, this whole thing with Harvey Weinstein is giving me PTSD. Why? Because this kind of thing happened to me. My wife and I were in a Hollywood function last year, and a high-level Hollywood executive came up to me and groped my privates. Jumping back, I said, "What are you doing?" My wife saw everything, and we looked at him like he was crazy. He just grinned like a jerk. He says, "I was going to kick his butt," he used a different word, "right then, but I thought twice about the whole thing, how the whole thing would appear. 240-pound black man stomps out Hollywood Honcho would be the headline the next day." And he says, "Only I probably wouldn't have been able to read it because I would have been in jail." So we left. That night and the next day, I talked to everyone I knew that worked with him about what happened. He called me the next day with an apology, but never really explained why he did what he did. I decided not to take it further because I didn't want to be ostracized, par for the course when the predator has the power and the influence. I let it go. And I understand why many women who this happens to let it go. Who's going to believe you? What are the repercussions? Many. Well, he says, who's going to believe you? Few. What are the repercussions? Many. Do you want to work again? Yes. Are you prepared to be ostracized? No. I love what I do, but it's a shame and the height of disappointment when someone tries to take advantage of that. He knows who he is, but sometimes you have to wait and compare notes with others who've been victimized in order to gain a position of strength. I understand and empathize with those who have remained silent, but Harvey Weinstein is not the only predator. Hollywood is not the only business where this happens, and to the casualties of this behavior, you are not alone. Hopefully me coming forward with my story will deter a predator and encourage someone who feels helpless. Sexual harassment in the workplace is more prevalent than many realize, and it takes a lot of strength to report it. So that's what this big black dude said. Now, I want you to understand the dynamic here, folks. Some Hollywood honcho had the chutzpah to go up to a substantial black man and grab his private parts. Does anybody on God's green earth believe this honcho would have done this had he not been a Hollywood honcho? And you know the obvious answer. So what power must you feel to possess you to do something like that could get you hurt in the real world? He would have to believe, this person, that he has the same power as Weinstein. Interestingly, Crews didn't hit the guy. Again, consider how Crews would have responded in the real world. He would have pummeled this dude. Actually, he wouldn't have had to, because a scenario like that would have never happened unless Crews was at a gay bar. But just in real life at a party, hanging out, whatever, never would have happened. So Crews just gets pissed off. His wife witnesses her husband chumping out, and I'm cleaning that up because I'm telling you, he's really done worse than that. And then they decide to leave. And as the rest of the Twitter thread that I read suggests, there's some big points in all of this story, and I want to cover these. First, rightfully, the Honcho called Cruz to apologize. Was that predicated on him talking to his employees and stuff and saying, what's up with that? I don't know. But the guy called him and he apologized. He didn't say why he apologized, figuring just saying, look, man, I apologize is enough, which isn't an apology, by the way, if you ask me. But apparently for Cruz, the apology sufficed. But then I say, did it really? Cruz went on to explain that he didn't want to be ostracized. The allure of Hollywood made him check his morals at the city limits as Hollywood beckoned. How many other men had this happened to? For Cruz, don't know, don't care. He's getting his paycheck, no harm, no foul. I know many who would have done the same thing. I'm not mad at him for this. I'm not even getting after him for this. I get it. But now the biggest point. Well, before I get to that, let me just say this. Cruz now sympathizes with others who've gone through this, particularly women. But really, does he? Because he didn't act. And in many of these things, people say silence is capitulation. Silence is agreement. So I can't really say that, he was all about helping people. But I do want to get to this biggest point that Cruz made. He said he talked to many people about what happened. People in this guy's company, people who know who this person is and what happened. Nevertheless, this sexual predator remains a mystery. Even now, Cruz seems to be searching for others to come out before he does. How courageous, right? I mean, this is just prototypical Hollywood, folks, that it drives me crazy. The irony is that Hollywood is known for blackballing people, right? We know this. When they talk about Harvey Weinstein, they talk about people were afraid to do anything to Harvey or say anything about Harvey because they didn't want to be blackballed. They didn't want to lose their careers and their jobs, etc. Hollywood blackballs. We know this for whatever reason. I don't like you hanging out with this person. You didn't do this for me or that. You took this film. There are so many reasons they blackball you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the government cracking down on Hollywood for blackballing? How many conservatives have been blackballed in Hollywood because of their political ideology? How many? How many people are afraid to come out? There is a culture of fear in Hollywood that in any other industry, you could not get away with it. Try that in manufacturing and see what happens. In the real world, folks, people make out like bandits when it's found out that companies collude against them or anything. Think of what happened in Silicon Valley when they took all these IT specialists and they said, don't hire. If you work at Google, Yahoo, don't you hire them. Facebook, don't you hire them. And so they put a freeze on these guys so they couldn't move around. They effectively made them indentured servants. At a decent amount of pay, but indentured servants nonetheless. They didn't have freedom of movement. And the very least, the Justice Department at least looked into it. Hollywood can tell somebody, this woman's never going to work. She didn't put out. That guy wouldn't let me, bugger him. He's not going to get any work. I don't like his political ideology. Think of how many right thinkers, people on the right, that Harvey Weinstein killed their careers. This guy's a dyed-in-the-wool leftist. And the minute that you're found out that you're not a leftist, guess what old Harvey does? He corners you in the room. That's what he does. This is big, folks. This is pointing a finger at so many things. Everything that they tell you, Lily Ledbetter, all the stuff that they talk about in corporate America. Look at what's happening to women. All these capitalists and what they're doing to women. Look at what Harvey Weinstein and all of these lecherous suckers in Hollywood are doing to all people of all different flavors. They don't care about the kids. They're passing these kids around like candy. You want to know why the teenage suicide rate goes up? It's because of people like Harvey Weinstein who are predators on these kids. You want to know why women get demoralized and don't want to, they become, they don't want to be touched. Read that article in the New Yorker. You'll see what I'm talking about. Women that said, after Harvey Weinstein did what he did to me, I didn't want any man to ever touch me like that again. Things like this. And you have a black dude, a big black 240-pound muscle-bound dude telling you this happened to me in Hollywood and I was powerless to do anything about it. Do you think all the time Barack Obama spent out there, he fixed it? You think Bill Clinton did? These politicians are hobnobbing with these fools. They are participating in this. They are complicit, as is every single Hollywood weirdo leftist that knows this stuff goes on. Folks, we're not talking about a secret here. I'm getting a little preachy, huh? But it's the truth. There's no secret here. They all know it. The cover-up is immense, and you'll hear more about it. It'll blow your mind. Trust me on that.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.